Hello,
Hey,
Barb.
hi.
How are you today?
Pretty good.
Good,
Here
good.
we are. We're doing virtual sessions in two different locations, all at the same time.
Oh, and there's your phone. Surprise, surprise.
Yes. I'll turn that off.
All right. So this is episode 61, I believe. I
Yeah.
can't count. No, this is
No, 60.
episode 62. And we're doing this episode by Zoom because one of our team members is self-isolating today. And that's why we thought, well, let's carry on. We want to, make sure we're on schedule. So this is episode 62 of Podcast On, featuring me, Cynthia, and
And Barb, the dynamic duo of River City Yarns. That's right. I'm coming to you today from my home office. And Cynthia, you're at the shop.
I am. And yesterday, Rebecca and I did a little bit of a change up here in our shop to kind of we pulled out some shawls because we're kind of we're kind of looking forward to spring. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't that exciting? I know.
It's a little early to be doing spring things here in Edmonton, but you can always look forward to something, right?
That's right. And I think that's exactly it. It's that we're so looking forward to, spring colors, spring clothing, just anything that will help alleviate the whiteness and the snow that's out there right now. We just had a big, beautiful snowfall this morning in Edmonton, and it just made everything white and clean. And
Oh, yeah, I agree, Barb. In fact, we should take people outside with us just for a quick moment to show you what it looks like here and what it sounds like here. There's crisp white snow, blue sky. You can hear your feet crunching in the snow, and the birds are chirping.
Yeah. All right, so Barb, let's start off this segment by talking about what we've been up to. Do you
yeah,
want to
sure.
give everybody kind of an overview of the things that we've been doing in January?
Mm-hmm. In the last month, well, we had quite a few classes and virtual events. We attended Vogue Knitting Live, which is a virtual marketplace. That was a lot of fun. And we did one in Vancouver, in the Vancouver area for Knit City. That was also a great sort of event that we participated in, all marketplace related. And we brought in a whole line of kits that we had been putting together for folks for quick projects and all things sort of Canadiana and original to our store.
Yeah, that's right. And we did I could probably insert maybe just a little clip at the end of our podcast to kind of give people an idea of what that looks like. What is a virtual marketplace, and
Mm-hmm.
how do we manage it? So we've got some video from that. So maybe I can slip in a little clip at the end of the podcast so you can see what that's about.
Yeah, that would be great. They're a lot of fun, right, to attend because you get a flavoring of so many different vendors, and it's sort of the way right now that as a store, we can show our products to customers, right?
That's right. And one of the things that we showed off were some of the things that we've been doing with what I'm sort of calling in my head our re-yarning initiative. So
Mm-hmm.
we've decided to spend some of 2022 in re-knitting some of our favorite projects, or some of our projects, our RCY original designs, reknitting them in new yarns or new color combinations of the yarns they were done in. And so
Yeah,
we did
or
that.
adding a new technique or a new stitch pattern or something different, right?
That's right. Yeah. So we did that with We did that with last month. We did it with floof.
Right, that was a fun one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we took a couple of patterns that we had and redid them in a big. One of them was originally designed for a lighter weight silk yarn and sort of like fingering weight or sport weight knitting needles in that gauge. And we upped it into big chunky stitches and a chunky wool that we've got, a new one called floof, and made a triangle sort of, what would you call it, a bandana sort of?
Yeah, well, I've got it here with me, and I'll put in an overlay video of maybe up close. But yeah, this is originally the original design was called Robbie's Red Silk Neckerchief, and we're calling it now Robbie's Neckerchief, and it's done in this gorgeous floof. So tell us a little bit, Barb, about the changes you made. Did you make changes to the pattern to
Yeah,
do that?
just a few. I mean, you start off at the tip, I believe, right, with like 4 stitches, and then the pattern grows. And it doesn't grow at the same rate on each side. It's sort of asymmetrical where one end ends up being a little longer than the other. But it's sort of a shallow, wide piece, especially when you're doing it in a bulky yarn like floof. And it just knit up real lickety split. I think I used 12 millimeter needles on it, and it was just a simple little, knit two together yarn over sort of pattern, and it was a lot of fun to do. I had just one skein, and so when I was almost out of yarn, I stopped. I bound off very loosely. That's one thing I'll say. You need to do a really loose bind off. And the yarn that was left, I just made a little tassel for and hung it off the bottom of the triangle. And it got a lot of interest from Vogue Knitting Live, didn't it? We showed it there, and a lot of people wanted to make one.
Yeah, absolutely. People were really inspired by your big bandana.
Big
Um,
Ben.
Somebody asked me, Barb, how do you know how much yarn to leave to bind off? Do you have any tips on that?
Yeah, well, I think the rule of thumb is 3 times the width of the project. So I had it on a really big circular needle, and I was able to kind of hold it out, but it was sort of a guesstimate. And I just kind of, 3 times the length of the yarn. Actually, Cynthia, I think I went right to the end and I pulled back a row just so that I had enough to bind off on that one.
Well, that's a tip too, right?
That yarn is so nice and soft. And the other thing about it is it comes in all these beautiful bright colors. So, talking about a desire to have spring come a little earlier, this is one of those great projects that was so much fun to make because the yarn itself was just such a pleasure to work with.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. And that brings up another point, and partly the reason why I think people watch this podcast, Barb, is because we're talking to people about sort of like the insider tips and notes about running a retail shop. So previous to floof, which is dyed for us by Handmaiden in Nova Scotia, we had a yarn that we called Chunkadelic, and the difference between Chunkadelic and floof is that Chunkadelic was a superwash merino and floof is an untreated merino. It's not a superwash merino. And
That's right.
when you first start to handle it, it's been dyed, so the fibers get a little compressed because of that. And so when you first touch it, it may not seem as soft and fluffy as a superwash merino. But when you work with it and you knit with it, did you find that? Like I found it just got softer and softer and softer in my hands.
It did. And it's really softened up too after washing it and blocking it out.
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said for working with an untreated merino with a non-superwash yarn, I guess, in order for companies or mills to create a superwash yarn, they have to either chemically glue down the scales on the wool or they have to mechanically strip them off. And either way they do it, it's adding to the processing of the fiber, and it's taking away some of its natural elements on it. So while it may not shrink in your washing machine, that's basically what we use superwash wools for, um, it loses some of its natural characteristics, like that stickiness. If you want your garment to keep its shape over time, those scales are kind of important, aren't they?
For sure.
Yeah. So try out a non super processed merino wool. I think you'll really find that you like it. And, the knowledge that it will get softer with time is kind of a good thing too. Don't judge things by their absolute first feel, sometimes you have to work with it a little bit. I guess we could say that about linen as well. Linen is kind of crunchy when you first work with it. And
Yeah.
say, "Oh, this is terrible. I'm never going to knit with linen ever again." And then you find out it's actually not that bad. It just needs, it needs some wear, right?
Yeah, the things that you find out too about fibers, right? As you continue on your journey, I think your knowledge just keeps continuing to grow and grow as you get a chance to experiment and play with different yarns and different fibers.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm going to steal the
The
spotlight here for a second, Barb, and just talk about what I was doing my re-yarning with, and that's the Thrumish hat and mitts. So this is a design by Kate Atherley. Um, it's designed to look like it's been thrummed, but it actually hasn't been thrummed. And I made both the hat and a pair of mittens using a total of 3 balls of epic and 1 skein of floof. So I made all of this with 4 balls of yarn in total. The epic is double stranded, and so that's a worsted weight yarn, double stranded, and the floof is single stranded. And instead of cutting it or ripping it up into pieces and thrumming it, what you do is you basically strand it along the inside. Now, don't get me wrong, this isn't stranded color work. It's not nearly that difficult, but you get this interior of the mitten that's like a double layer of warmth on your hand. So here's the outside of the mitten, and here's the inside of the mitten. And it just looks like you've got those little thrummed hearts, but it's not nearly the work and preparation that you might otherwise have to do something that's thrummed. I had a lot of fun with this one.
It looks great too, Cynthia.
So now we're into February, and we're in January, we were both kind of working on a re-yarning project, but in February, you get to carry the re-yarning project kind of solo. So tell us what you're working on for that, Barb.
For February, Cynthia, we picked shinny mittens, which is a pattern from Ann Budd, a pair of lined mittens. I think I have the pattern right here, done originally in our hockey yarn. And we normally did it in hat trick along with a strand of kid silk haze. Sorry, I've got my handy chart right here. I love this little board from Coco Knits. I've been using it everywhere. And it's got such strong magnets that I can't really pull the pattern off without totally removing the ruler and everything. But this is the pattern here. You probably remember it, shinny mitts. And we used a skein of our hockey-inspired fingering weight merino nylon with it. But we thought it would be fun to try it with Adam and Eve, which is still a fingering weight, but a little bit thicker, and a merino cashmere nylon blend, so a little bit softer. So look how much I've got done already. I have the outside mitten done. This colorway is called River.
That's gorgeous, Barb.
I did not bring the ball with me, but it's a really pretty tone-on-tone series of blues. And I've got the mitten done. This is for I believe the left hand. And then I just started doing the liner. And this is done in kid silk haze.
Okay, so you're using the kid silk haze as the liner, and it looks like you didn't add the kid silk haze in with the Adam and Eve. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah. So this project, Cynthia, in order to reknit this, I had to do a few swatches. And when I swatched with the Adam and Eve and the kid silk haze, it was just too thick. I had to go down needle sizes, and the fabric became too compressed. I tried really hard. So then I just did it with the Adam and Eve by itself, and the gauge was perfect. It just worked out. I did have to go down to a size 3 needle instead of a 3.25. But the fabric was perfect for the outer mitten. And then on the inner mitten, on the kid silk haze, I got gauge using a 2.75. I'm using these really fun Addy squared needles, doing a magic loop on them. I've got a nice long one. I was hoping to find a bamboo needle because I think that would have been easier to work with this mohair, but I didn't have one. So I went to the Addy squares and appreciated the nice sharp tip. That helped quite a bit.
That's right. The Addy bamboo tips, the smallest size they come in is a 3 millimeter.
Yeah, I wish I would have had a bamboo, but that's the way it is.
Yeah. I suppose you could have used double pointed needles, right? For that part?
I could have, yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a little slippery. I wanted to have a little bit more control. And this long shaft was really nice too.
Yeah.
In order to knit this. So yeah, so now I'm right up at the thumb. I'm creating the little thumb gusset that sits off to the side. And there is this pattern also has a bit of a turning row right here. So this liner is just going to snug right inside of my mitten and create a nice little layer inside there.
That's perfect.
Fun. Yeah. So that'll be done probably in another week or so. And then I can move on to another project.
Okay, so Barb, I think I told you before that we have some brand new classes coming up. You and I have been working with some fabulous instructors, and we've organized some brand new, never done before classes, at least not virtually. And so I thought it might be fun to just talk a little bit about those ones. We've always had a lot of fun holding workshops. You say, I mean, for as long as we've been in existence together, we've been holding workshops in the store. In fact, I think that's how I came to join you at River City Yarns.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when we think about it, for sure.
I would leave work and drive over to the shop and teach a class.
Yeah.
All right, so we do have some really fun things coming up. Do you want me to just go through the list maybe of what's new?
Well, I think you should start with Fiona's.
Yeah. So
I'm totally excited about those.
Yeah, you and I have been friends with Fiona Ellis, who's a designer from Toronto for a long time. She's been a wonderful supporter of River City Yarns. We've collaborated with her on exclusive designs, and she kind of manages our design portfolio. But she's also a certified yoga instructor, and we didn't talk about it before, but she's also a belly dancer.
Yes, yes. Fiona's a lot of fun.
Great. Well, it's good to talk to you, and I'm so excited about these. It's something that I have been pondering quite a bit, and I've developed especially for you guys as a, in a virtual format. Yoga has always been important to people, but during the pandemic it has become even more important. So if we take our yoga practice and bring it back as though we're coming home to our bodies, and we're you're looking at the sensations that happen in a yoga class, couldn't the same thing be true of coming home to our knitting?
Mhm. And so we've asked Fiona to come and talk to us about mindfulness, knitting as mindfulness. And she's created a series of 3 workshops on this topic. I'm going to let Fiona tell you about them because she's the better speaker about what it is that she's going to be presenting.
Talk what I've learned from being a yoga teacher, and then created the kind of an arc of the classes so that it mimics the same arc that happens in a yoga class, but brought it to knitting practice. So they're only knitting exercises, they're not physical exercises, and each class will be distinct in itself, so they're not cumulative. You don't have to do all 3. If you haven't done 1 and 2 and you find about, come to number 3 or whatever that is. But I'm hoping that people will come to all 3, and so they can see the whole arc of it.
This is a really cool concept, and if it catches on, I think it could be kind of like a regular thing, like a once a month knitting as mindfulness check-in with Fiona Ellis.
Yes.
But she's going to be here with us on 3 Saturdays, February 12th, March 12th, and April 2nd. Yeah. And then you've been, what do you call it, knee deep in gnomes. And so we talked to Sarah Shira, who is like the gnome designer, and she's going to do a Saturday seminar for us on coping strategies for 2022 based around gnomes. And then she's going to do a class for us on gnomes. And Barb, you've been knitting gnomes. What do you think?
Well, let's face it. It's not me so much me, it's Sarah. Sarah's the one behind the Year of the Gnome. And she's got in 2021, she had 12 gnome patterns and thought it would be a great idea to do the Year of the Gnome in 2022. So she asked us if we would put together some kits out of our epic yarn to make gnomes that were a little bigger, a worsted weight size. And so, yeah, that's how we got involved. And I wanted to try and keep up and knit gnomes so that we could inspire our customers and give them a sense of what a gnome looked like in a chunkier yarn.
Right.
Do you have those there?
Yeah, and I'm going to show them in a minute. I'm just going to say that the Sarah Shira's Saturday seminar is taking place on Saturday, February 19th, and that's a 1-hour seminar. And then she's doing a full 3-hour class for us called No Fun Like Gnome Fun, and that's GNO fun, like gnome fun. And that will be on March 26th. And for that class, you will be knitting a gnome along with Sarah. And she does recommend for this one that you use a worsted weight yarn. So if you purchase one of the kits that Barb's put together in one of the color combos, you'll have everything you need. But of course, you can also stash bust and find some worsted weight yarns. It's probably the size that's easiest to work with and easiest to find when you're looking for gnome supplies. So that's Sarah's class coming up. We'll take a little break here, and I'll show everybody your gnomes, and then we'll come back and talk about some of the other classes that are coming up as well. What's this one?
Okay. Does that guy have a name? Well, let me tell you that this little guy here comes from the pattern called,
Gnome pun intended?
Called Gnome Pun Intended, right? So, but does he have a name? Yes, he does. His name is Genome.
I love his hat. This is so cool. And this looks like kind of a tuck stitch on here.
Yeah, it's kind of like a big wrinkly cap, isn't it?
Wow, that's so cool. Okay.
Yeah.
And then this one, This one's been around for a while.
Yeah, that's a last year's gnome, and he was designed from the pattern called Adventure Gnome or Advent. And yeah, his claim to fame is really long arms and legs, and his little boots are just so cute. He originally had a belt as well, and a belt buckle, and a big striped hat. Yeah, very fun.
Oh,
So
nice.
he
Oh, yeah. And look at
last
this
year,
bobble on his
yeah,
hat.
cute little hat.
And then
Yeah,
this one to me is perfect for Valentine's Day.
right. Yes, I call her Val, but she needs better names. So if anyone has any ideas for names, do submit them. We're, I thank Marguerite Anen too for suggesting a name. I'm going to use her name in a future gnome coming up. But
Aw,
this is the same one. This was an adaptation of Sarah's Adventure gnome. And you can see the similarities between him or her and the first one with the long I-cord arms and legs. But this one, I just added a few little braids
mhm.
and a little heart button for Valentine's Day. What we've done though is put together kits, Cynthia, and if you bring up again the first gnome that you showed, he's got a really fun little beard. And this was some great yarn that I found that we had in the shop from Noro. So we made up these little embellishment packs that have some fun sort of yarn that you could use for beards or um, different hair braids, whatever you want, and a few beads and baubles and things like that that you could maybe attach a little bead to his beard or something like that. So they're fun, and we encourage you to embellish and make your gnomes your own. But the thing about the Epic is that it's such a fast knit. You can do one of these in a weekend, and they really are substantial. They sit up really nice on a shelf or a ledge in a collection.
Wow, perfect. Perfect. So in addition to gnomes, we have another really nice class coming up that is brand new. And that's Holly Yo, who's coming to do a Saturday seminar for us on designing to be gender inclusive. So she's just created recently a new cardigan pattern, and she's made it so that it's unisex. But she's going to come and talk to us about some of the thought processes that go behind making a design purposefully gender inclusive. And I just think this is a really relevant topic for us right now.
Mhm.
That Saturday seminar is taking place on February 26th. So I just wanted to take a moment and talk about Saturday seminars, the fact that they're 1 hour discussions with designers about topics that are interesting, and it's sort of like an intensive look on a specific topic. So we really encourage you to join us for those Saturday seminars. They're all recorded as well. All of our classes are recorded. So if it turns out that you can't make it to one, it's okay. You'll have access to the recording for 7 days after the live event.
Yeah, it's so great too to be able to see so many people come to those, and you get a real collaboration of ideas and in information.
Right? Yeah, yeah. It is really good.
Mhm.
Okay, so gnomes have been something that you've been working on. I thought maybe I should give people a bit of an update on my, striving to finish some of my projects. Uh,
Yes,
we
yes,
talked
your
about
New
this
Year's
last month.
resolution.
my my excessive amount of whips and my idea, to spend 12 hours on each of my whips and try and get them done. Now, confession time. I've spent more than 12 hours on this one, but I am really close, really, really close to finishing my Ann Bud skirt. It
Oh,
doesn't look
congratulations.
it doesn't look its best right now. It's upside down. Turn it this way.
Yeah.
And I'm at 17 inches and I need 20 inches. but I'm really pleased with how this is turning out.
Wow, that's
And
pretty. So it's kind of like a diamond on the side.
yeah, so these are pleats. And so each pleat has a little zigzag lace pattern in it.
Wow, that's
Hmm.
pretty.
This is an ancient arts yarn that I bought, I'm going to say 3 years ago, Barb. And I bought four skeins, I believe. And I'm working on my third one right now. And I bought it specifically to do a skirt. But then I joined my stash and I never started it. And then we had Ann Bud come and do a skirt class with us. And I said, that's it. I've got to do this. So I really, really love the fact that we're able to connect with Anne and the other instructors that we have going to have these wonderful classes to teach us so much. And we couldn't do it really otherwise. I mean, you'd have to travel to, to a knitting retreat to be able to take a class like this. And it would be very intensive. You'd have to learn everything there is to know about knitting a skirt in one session, right? In
Right.
the business
Yeah.
classes. And here we're able to take it over several weeks and takes the time to answer all of our questions. It's fantastic. So the great news is I'm really close to finishing my skirt. And so I feel like, by the next podcast, I'll be able to wear it. So thank you everybody for your comments in the podcast comment section and for the encouragement to keep going on it. So I encourage you all to continue to apply, some hours to your unfinished objects because there's a real joy about getting it done.
Well, and that's the thing too with virtual classes or virtual groups. What we have a makers meetup too, which is great because I think that those sessions keep you motivated to keep going, right? Which is what it's all about. You don't want to put a project on the back burner. And if you do, it's nice to be able to get it back out again and put it back into rotation. So as much as we, put a little pressure on ourselves to de-stash and get rid of, make works in progress into finished objects, it's nice to have a group to meet with and to keep you on track and keep you motivated to keep on going.
Absolutely. Those are all incredible benefits of taking classes. And
Yeah, I
then
don't think they're ever going to go away either, until, it would be nice once things open up to go back to a knitting retreat.
Mhm.
But I think that Kate Atherley said it really well today when she was talking about this is going to be the way of learning.
It's we've just discovered so many great advantages to the online learning program, and those are advantages that you can't quite get at an in-person event.
Mhm.
So yes, I agree with you. I think it'll be really nice to be able to go to a fiber festival and to take a class. But I really feel like now I'm going to go to a fiber festival and just enjoy the sights and the sounds and getting together with other people. I'll save the classes for this kind of rollout because I really, really like being able to take my time at doing something and not trying to cram everything into one 3-hour session.
That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's all about the socialization now and the great restaurants in each city.
Yeah, and again, just swinging that back to the original topic that we started with, the virtual marketplaces. These are virtual fiber festivals that are, still happening online, and we're having virtual marketplaces. And you might think, you know, really, how's that going to work out? And it's turning into a lot of fun, isn't it? We got
Oh yeah.
feedback from the marketplace at Knit City and the marketplace at Vogue Knitting Live, where people were saying to us, you know, I popped into this one and then I popped into that one and I had so much fun at Ancient Arts. And then I came over to you and you guys were chatting about something different. And so each of the vendors takes a different kind of approach to explaining about themselves and their products and services. And so
Mhm.
it's just kind of fun, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, I think, we're convinced, right? I mean, we've been doing it for the last 2 years, so you don't have to convince us.
Yeah.
But I think it's a lot of our customers are already doing it too, right? So, yeah, I think it's just the way of the future.
Great, Barb. I think you're doing something special with project bags. Did I get that right?
Well, once or twice a year, we do an attendee pre-order where we take a look at some of the newest fabrics and designs that attendee has come out with. And this spring, they've been so kind. They have offered us the opportunity to do a pre-order. We don't really normally do that. Like we usually buy bags and then resell them. But this is so different because we're here in Canada. Nina's given us the opportunity to do a pre-order. What she's done is picked about 5 or 6 of her tote bags in different styles and some of the new fabrics. And so we've got a whole bunch of images now up on our website. This is going to be a very short pre-order. We can only hold this open for a couple of weeks. But what we're going to do is offer our customers the opportunity to select the bag that they'd like and place a pre-order for it. This has been advantageous for us in 2 ways. One, the shipping costs are so high now. Well, costs everywhere are high. Have you seen the price of gasoline this week? But doing a group order means that we can save as a group on some of those costs. And so we've had a number of our customers ask us about bags for spring. In fact, I think Glenda was one of those who had her eye on the bauble fabric that's come out, the new one from Atente. And so we're going to place a group order. I think February 19th is the last day to get involved on that. But if you would like one of these beautiful bags from California, they're so well made, check it out. Come and attend our pre-order and have a look and see if there's something there that speaks to you for spring, summertime.
So, Barb, you had said to me we could show people this on the website, and I said I would insert something later. But I'm now rethinking that it's probably a good idea to show people where they go to order. So if I switch to sharing my screen and go to the website, can you direct me as if I were a customer?
Sure. One of the best ways, you go ahead and get it set up. And okay, so Cynthia's going here to our River City Yarns page. And just one of the ways, Cynthia, that I like to do it is to go to the magnifying glass, the search, and just type in the word Atente. Because what will come up are the pre-orders that we've done, as well as what we have in stock. So this is an important thing to know too, because you might find one of the beautiful bags that we already have in stock, and they're at 2021 pricing. So attendees had to raise prices because of raw materials. So the new ones that we're bringing in for spring are a little bit more money, but again, we managed to sharpen our pencil on these too, and by creating a group order, we can keep the pricing down a bit. So Cynthia's clicking right now on the Atente Tall Caddy, and there are several different colors there. We've got them in the colors section, so right above the Add to Cart button, when you flip through, the new images will come up. Yeah, and isn't that one cute?
Mm-hmm.
These are some of the most, and this one, the Flora. This, if you go, Cynthia, over top of it and click on it, you can see how this fabric is all embroidered threads on a navy sort of background. Just beautiful. And these totes are made with beautiful handles, sort of a faux suede fabric. Same fabric on the bottom. The caddy has 4 pockets on the outside, so it's super for organizing, and it has another 4 on the inside. The insides of these bags too are all made with water repellent taffeta material, and they're so great for organizing. Very well made. They last a long time. Yeah, and then there's some beautiful handbags. So if bags and totes are your thing, check these out because these are stunning. This is a brand new fabric. Oh, I think it was in last year. This is viola, and it's got a gray sort of background with a beautiful floral print on it. The Pioneer bag is just a really generous bag too. It'll hold an entire sweater project in there if you wanted it. Or you could use it as an overnighter bag too. The overnighter is larger and has a really nice long handle. So this one is really comfortable to wear over your shoulder. And it's got a zip top on it, whereas the Pioneer has more of a what's that called? A frame style clamp sort of opening that just pops open and closes again. The satchel is another great bag. Cynthia, you have this one, don't you?
I do. Yeah, I use it a lot.
Mm. And it's really nice too because it's got an outside pocket, a zip top, and inside pockets. And comes in two great fabrics, the one that Cynthia has, the Birdie Black, and the new Seymour, which is a beautiful floral print on a white background.
I don't think there's an outside pocket on this one, Barb.
Oh, no?
No. It kind of looks like it in the picture, but no. But that's good because that means it's slimming. You know what I mean? You put
Yeah, it doesn't bulge out. Right.
Oh, what is this one?
Yeah, so this is Davina, and this is a new sort of shape that she came out with last year. And this one can be pleated to look sort of like a fortune cookie. It's got a little lobster claw on the inside of it that can snap together. And then when you let that out, this is the actual shape of the bag. So it's a nice sort of wider than it is high tote. Comes with a great handle. There's a couple different handle options that are used. This print is really intriguing. This is called La Tigre, and it's got the tiger sort of print on the front. And when you flip the bag around to the back, he says goodbye to you. It's the back end of him. It's just a lot of fun.
We'll go through the back sack quickly, and then the pouches. Mm-hmm.
Right. So the back sack is sort of a combo between a tall caddy and a sort of what's called the Hope basket shape. It can be worn like a backpack, or it can be opened up and folded over, and you can knit out of it more like a bag.
Nice.
So it's wonderful for those who want a little more active bag. And then pouches. Yes, you can get the accessory pouch or the grand pouch, which has a really cool little wrist handle on it to go with your big bag. So if you want to just kind of leave your big bag and just pop your wallet and something in your small bag, you can just kind of grab everything and go.
We should remind folks that these are all extremely well-made bags. In addition to the waterproof lining inside, they come with upholstery fabric exteriors. They're just gorgeously made, and the sewing is perfection.
Mm-hmm. Incredibly well made, and you know, they're unique. I think that's the thing about them. You're not going to see a whole bunch of other people walking around with them, like you might, another sort of designer handbag. The other thing about them that I will say is that they're all cut and sewn in a specific manner. So they take a look at the fabric and the print on the fabric, and you'll see that they've centered, for example, La Tigre, the actual tiger, right in the center of the bag. So they're all very thoughtfully made, and fabrics that are sourced either in the United States or in real specific mills, they're also sort of like tapestries. So each one of them has either a velour or a jacquard background, something very special about the fabric.
Oh, that's really nice. And so even so there are pre-orders that are being taken so people can actually fulfill their order, pay for it, and then you'll go ahead and do the order and mail them out or have them
Yeah,
pick up if they're locally ordered.
exactly. Yeah. And they'll be here in time for spring. So it takes about 6 weeks for Attenti to, get all of our orders and plan them all out, cut, sew, and finish and ship back to us. So we're looking at the end of March or early April. Fingers crossed.
And you were mentioning our friend Glenda has placed a pre-order, and I was talking to her the other day. She's done a really cool sock pattern with her Yarnicorn purchase, and
Yeah.
the sock that she's done is called Business Casual by Tanis Lavalley from Tanis Fiber Arts. And I went and had a look at it. She sent me some pictures, and I'll insert them as well. Um, and because I said to her, like, can you do this sort of really pretty diamond pattern on a busy yarn? And she said, yeah, it looks great. So she sent me a couple of photos and I'll insert them here so you can see them as well. That was really,
Fantastic. It's so wonderful to see the creativity of our customers, right? Coming up with new pattern ideas to make with various yarns. It's just been a great year that way.
yeah, yeah,
And
exactly.
Glenda, yes, this is all your fault about the Attenti bag pre-order. No, I'm just teasing. We were going to do it. We just needed a nudge.
Oh man, we have the best customers. I mean, they're really friends. Because I feel like we 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 really want to take the time to get to know you and to become friends with you. And
Mhm.
so,
And
folks
we
like
really
Glenda,
are the greatest at enabling. You tell us what you want and we go and try and get it.
that's right, that's right. And another one of our customers dropped off a beautiful gift for. You weren't here that day, but I accepted it, and I haven't opened it yet, Barb. I'm waiting for you to come, but
Well,
she dropped
thank goodness.
she dropped off a beautiful gift, and I'll share a picture of that too. Now, we're not soliciting for gifts, so please don't feel like
No, no.
just
No,
because.
but this was from Diane, who we've been working with. Diane's been doing a lot of making this year, and she just got a knitting machine.
Yes. Yeah, so she came and picked up her knitting machine and dropped off a bottle of something very delicious. And and so we're really appreciative of that. It just feels so good to be able to connect with so many different people and to be able to extend, River City Yarns and what we do and what we bring to so many people everywhere. So
I
we
want
really,
to say a big shout out too to the reason why Diane, I think, brought that was because she saw us drinking something on our last podcast that was Alberta based. And so we really need to say thank you to her for turning us on to another local company that makes a really great product.
yes, yes,
It
exactly,
looks
exactly.
amazing.
Yes. And I just wanted to say thank you to Diane and to Glenda and to all of you who leave encouraging comments in the comments section below our podcast. We do try to go through every comment and reply to them, and sometimes we fall behind a little bit. But we so appreciate hearing from you, and it just helps to build that relationship. When we see your name every month in the comments section, you become like an old friend to us. And so we just really love that. And so I'm going to encourage you to continue to do that. Thank you so, so much for leaving us those motivations, the inspirations, telling us what you're working on, leaving a link to a Ravelry project or another retailer or somebody who sells a great craft beer. We really like that. So keep it up. Thank you.
Hey, Cynthia.
Hey, Barb, how are you doing?
Really good. And I'm at the store today, and you're at your home office today.
Yeah. We've switched places, which is
Yes,
kind of what happens when you try to film a podcast over 2 days, right?
that's right. Yeah. And it worked out really nice today, too, because I was able to come into the store this morning and help Sabrina ship out some beautiful thrummed mitt kits.
Right.
Wow, you guys did such an amazing job on Saturday putting together color combos. I was wowed by them.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, it's this is the fun part of our job is pairing things together for our customers. And Stephanie, this is Stephanie Pearl McPhee, who's doing an online class on Patreon on how to make thrummed mittens. And we collaborated with her on putting together some yarn kits for folks. And that's just been a blast. Though the merino sliver, the unspun wool that we're putting in these kits, has been hand dyed by our friend Jana at Handmaiden.
Yes, and she's done a spectacular job. Thanks go out to Stephanie. Wow, she has been so kind in helping small businesses stay healthy during this pandemic, right? So and Jana too, I think she was so grateful to us that she dropped everything in her queue and started dyeing more thrummed mitten kits so that we would have something to send out to people.
Yeah,
So those are back in stock. Yeah,
yeah.
and we're having a great time with them.
I will put a link to Stephanie's Patreon channel in the show notes just below this video. So if you're wondering what we're talking about, you can sign up for her Patreon channel, just like we have.
Yeah.
And you can get involved in her knit along, and all the other content that she's put up there is just amazing. It's
Isn't
the
it?
best monthly subscription. It's better than Netflix, don't you think?
I do. Absolutely. Or watching the news. Don't watch the news. Watch Stephanie's Patreon channel. The best tip, Cynthia, is how to fix, in my view, those edge stitches. When you have an edge stitch that's gone wonky? And
Yes.
Stephanie did a video on that last week. It's amazing.
Yeah. No, she's an incredible wealth of information. She does a lot of research. I mean, it doesn't
Yes,
sound like it. She just makes it sound so natural,
I
like she's
know.
known this her entire life, but I'm sure she does a ton of research,
Like the research she did on the thrummed mittens,
right?
right? Yeah. Yeah. So you all have to go and check out Stephanie's Patreon channel if you haven't already, because it's just the best thing ever.
Yeah. Yeah. But speaking of best things ever, we wanted to tell everybody about Yarnicorn, what we've done
Yeah.
with last month's Yarnicorn and what's coming up for this month's Yarnicorn. So
Yes.
let's start with, what is Yarnicorn?
Right. So for those who don't know, Yarnicorn is a special yarn that's created by if we can, Canadian dye artists. They take one of their favorite bases that they love to work with, dye with, and we send them an inspiration. This year, it's all about Yarnicorn, which is kind of a take on a unicorn, which is just a very special and magical, unique kind of theme. And they dye yarn around it. This month's theme is rare birds, tropical.
Ooh. But
And so,
before we go there, Barb,
yeah,
what was the January theme?
well, I was getting to that.
Oh,
I was honest. So February's rare bird, we can't show it to you yet because we don't have it in our hands, but it's going to be dyed by Kim from Flock Fiber. She's a Calgary dye artist and one of our favorites. And last month was Over the Moon. She created, Caitlin from Over the Moon and her mom Serena created this. I have one skein here left.
is it
And
on the
this,
website, Barb?
no, this one is yours and mine.
It sold out really fast.
It did.
Yeah.
This one's called Out of This World. But don't fear, because there are other colors that Caitlin makes that are extremely beautiful. And if you have a chance, go to her website. It's overthemoonyarn.com, and you can see beautiful colors there. I think Cynthia is going to show you a few more, or one more of Caitlin's colors. This is done on her electron sock base. And so every month we come out with a new yarn that we want to inspire you with, that you can have some fun with. And Cynthia is going to tell you about the pattern that we have that goes with this.
Yeah, so we designed we talked about this in last month's podcast. So if you missed it, you can check it out there. But we designed a blanket pattern to go along with Yarnicorn this year because we thought it would be fun to either use these skeins with some solid colors to create a beautiful memories blanket, or maybe you want to make another project with it. We referred earlier to our friend Glenda, who made some business casual socks. And when you make socks, you always have leftovers, right? So what do you do with them? Well, we think it would be fun to put them into a memory squares blanket. And we have a free pattern on our website. So again, we'll put a link to that in the show notes down below. And you can join along with us. You don't have to use Yarnicorn in this project. But that's what we're doing, right? And I think, Barb, you have some squares there that we've been working on. Do you want to talk about those for a minute?
Sure. Here's one that I've got currently in progress. It was so much fun I couldn't stop at one, Cynthia. So I've cast on for a second, and this was
that one. So put that one back up for a second, Barb, and hold it really still. That one. Oh. Because I thought for a minute there that maybe that wasn't striped, but now I see the stripes.
I guess it would help if I showed you the right side.
So you're striping that one with a solid blue, like a medium blue, maybe like a cornflowerish shade.
That's right. So you and I both talked about, well, what could we team it with? Because this started from our grandma's blanket, right? She had one where she crocheted it for all of her grandkids, and it was done with a colorful yarn and black. So we decided that we would use camp color. I used this one to go with the skein of Over the Moon that I had.
Mm-hmm.
And you used this one. I'll show you yours. I love the way you did yours too.
Oh, thanks.
Get the right side up here.
Right.
Can you see that?
Yes, that's beautiful.
So you did.
I say so myself.
Yes. You start at the long side on here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And along here.
Mm-hmm.
And then you change colors every 2 rows. And it's honestly so much fun, you guys. I couldn't stop. I had to keep on going. But tell us, Cynthia, about what you did right here.
Well, I just stopped striping, right? And I just went with the main color, which was out of this world, the Yarnicorn yarn.
Mm-hmm.
So when mine gets pieced together, I sort of plan on having those little solid corners that will be at the center of each square.
Right. Yeah. And you chose this one. This is called Bluer Than Velvet. And I don't know if people can see, but this has such a really neat dye to it. Some sections are really, really strong, and then others are quite pale.
Right, because these camp colors are all hand dyed.
Yeah.
So you're going to get that, tone on tone kind of look. Do you think there's a color? Do you think there's a color in camp color that wouldn't go with Yarnicorn?
I think there are a few.
Oh, do you?
Yeah, there's some earthy tones in this last collection that came out. See, Caitlin has used quite a few neons. Like she's got some real brights in there. I'll show you this one here. This is better. There is some black and some navy in here too, but a lot of her colors are fairly bright or pastels.
Right.
So but the reason we chose it was because there was so many beautiful pastels that would go so well with this,
Mhm.
as well as some really gorgeous brights that go well.
Yeah.
But we'll see what comes next month, because that could change the palette up a bit, right?
Now you did one with black as well.
Yes, yes. So this one is Camp Color in solid black. And here's the square for that one with Over the Moon.
Wow. Now, is it possible, Barb, to hold that one and the last one you just did side by side?
I might need another hand, but no, sure. Yours, you mean?
Well, mine or yeah, or your other one, because it's like, oh, because it just that black really makes the neon colors pop in this one,
It,
and
it does, doesn't it?
the blue makes the neon look a little more pastel. Isn't that interesting? Because
And then this one really makes it look pastel.
right, and we need to tell people that we knit all these squares from the same skein of Over the Moon.
hmm Yeah, I'm still working on
Right.
that one skein that you and I worked from.
This is so cool because basically what we're saying is that whatever color you choose to pair up with these yarns, it's going to make your variegated yarn look different.
Yes.
Ah,
And it's a great stash buster too, Cynthia. This one, again, I couldn't stop, so I kept on going. And I did this.
right,
Same thing, use the black with the Camp Color, but then just use scraps that I had at home.
right.
It's just so much fun. Everybody has to make a mitered memories blanket.
It is kind of addictive, isn't it?
hmm
Because you finish a square and you think, oh well, just maybe just one more square, right?
That's right.
Mhm.
And doesn't it really tie in with our theme to reyarn some of our projects too? Like this whole idea sort of spawned from Lucy Neepy, right?
Well, Lucy Neatby designed this gorgeous hat for us called the MVP beanie. And it's the brim of that beanie starts with these little mitered squares. And so what we did was we took that idea and we said, now, what if we wanted to make it in a thicker yarn? Because the first Yarnicorn is a fingering weight yarn. I think the second Yarnicorn is going to be a fingering weight yarn, but you never know, right? The third one or the fourth one might be a DK weight or a worsted weight, or you might have worsted weight yarn in your stash that you'd like to put in this blanket. So we designed the blanket to be knit at a worsted weight gauge. And we used our fingering weight yarns double stranded to accommodate that gauge. We're
Yeah.
using a 5 millimeter needle or US 8 needle. And that way you can use different kinds of yarns. And also, because you know how stressed out I get with projects, also these squares don't take that long to finish because
Yeah.
it's double stranded on the fingering weight yarn with a US 8 5 millimeter needle, right? So
Right.
yeah.
Yeah. And the pattern was brilliant too. I think that you've created just the right size of square as well. I know you played with that quite a bit, how many stitches to cast on, and it works out perfect. I think it's going to be great for panels if you want, or to join them as you go. Maybe you just want to make one at a time and throw it in a basket and sew it together later.
Yeah.
There's so many options.
And we do have at least one person who is doing a granny square version of it. I know because I've been chatting with her by email. And so she's going to do the same kind of thing, but use granny squares. And so she'll alternate each round of granny square will be alternated between the colorful variegated yarn and a solid yarn. And then
What
she'll do
color is she using?
I'm not sure. I'll have to check. But I think the idea is that the last row will be in a solid color, the last round in the granny square, so that when she sews them together, she'll get that window pane kind of look that we showed. So for those of you who are crocheting and those of you who are knitting, if you don't want to do mitered squares, no problem. we invite your creativity to show us, some ideas for how to use up the leftovers.
Yeah.
Now, many of you, like Barb, will start making your square with the Yarnicorn yarn, and then you won't be able to stop, and you'll end up using all of your Yarnicorn for that square, and that's just fine. But if you want to use it to make a pair of socks like Glenda, or I don't know, make a hat or make some mittens or things like that, by all means. And if you want to add some of the leftovers from your stash into this blanket, it'd be great. I'm so excited, Barb, about kind of some end of the year photos. We'll have to post. I don't know if we did a hashtag yet for this one. I think we do have a hashtag. Okay. I will find the hashtag and put it in the show notes down below.
Right.
So that you can show us some pictures of your memories blankets or your other Yarnicorn projects as we go along.
Yeah. And that's great. Yeah. And remember, Grandma Tutton crocheted hers. So we think crochet is excellent. I don't know why. I guess maybe we talked about one of us crocheting and one knitting. And I nixed that idea, right?
Well, I'm glad you said that. We know, you know what, we did talk about it, and then we talked about how much time we have and how much work we have on our plates right now. And we decided to go with something that would be easy. In fact, maybe we can even join our, squares together or whatever. But, we had to pull back a little bit on all the what ifs.
And all the pattern writing too, because it meant then we had to write a second pattern, and
yeah,
it was that.
So and the reason why we had to write a pattern in the first place, because there are mitered square blankets out there, but the ones that we could find were all written for fingering weight yarn on very small needles, and we wanted something that would be bigger, faster, and just
in line with our goal of year of stash busting, big time.
Yeah, and so they are 9-inch squares. That's what we've done. So they are big. 9 times 4 is 36, and 9 times 3 is 18. Right, 27. Oh dear, well, I'm having a math moment.
Regardless of the math, these truly are a great little size, and I can't believe how squishy they are, and so they're really. They'll stretch. These haven't been blocked yet, and they're real. Look at this.
Yeah, that's the garter stitch, and again, that's Lucy Neatby's brilliance. So in the MVP beanie, those squares are done in garter stitch, and they're just makes the most luscious hat. Yeah,
and it fits everybody too, right?
Well, in fact, what she has you do is knit the squares until it fits around your head, and then you make. I mean, it's brilliant. Lucy is brilliant. So we were totally inspired by her. The blankets, well, it's a very different kind of thing, but that MVP beanie is a great pattern. It's a great pattern for variegated yarn. So who doesn't have, at least 6 skeins of variegated sock yarn in their stash?
Right? Yeah.
I should go count mine. Anyway.
Oh, doesn't it feel like reorganization time? The weather's just turned a little bit nicer here, and I want to go do that too. Clean out old drawers and count yarn and.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to count, but yeah. Anyway, really organized for sure.
Schemes.
Yeah, we color coordinate.
Yeah. Okay, so speaking of skeins, what's new with you? Birthday girl.
Oh, yes. So Barb, I got this package in the mail.
Yeah.
And
good. It arrived. Happy birthday to you.
I ripped open the top. I was so surprised to get something in the mail.
I know. Well, what do you get the girl that's got all the yarn in the world? More yarn.
This is so pretty. Hang on, let me make some noise.
So while Cynthia's unwrapping that,
Barb.
I know, isn't that pretty? You have to take the label off though, because I think that there's more surprises hidden underneath that.
Well, this was in the bag.
Oh, okay. So you got
Take it out.
your bracelet too.
Look at this.
Yeah. So our friend Caitlin from Over the Moon is having a sock club. It's like a year of sock yarn. And I enrolled you. I enrolled you for the first quarter. And
Aw.
yeah, she told me a little inside story about this, that she's starting with reds and then she's going to transition into other colors, but all of them go together. And her whole theme is, space and, um, over the moon and orbits. And it's right up your alley,
I know.
right?
Caitlin and I have a bond,
Yes.
a sci-fi Trekkie kind of bond.
Yeah. Oh my God, look at that.
I love it.
So whether you use it for, a sweater or whatever, or a square for your memories blanket, I thought it would be lovely for your birthday.
Thank you. This one's called Rosetta Nebula.
There you go. So you guys head over to Caitlin's website too. She might have more subscriptions available. Maybe you can even get some of this one that Cynthia's got. Isn't it? It's just totally for February, isn't it?
Okay, so there's a bracelet in here, and then there's a teeny weeny wrapped, my goodness, a teeny weeny wrapped thing. Is it a spoiler if I open this up?
No, I don't think so. Not at all. Caitlin said that with the first one, you get a bracelet, and then you can add charms on each month.
There's 2 charms in here.
Little higher, hun. We can't quite see it.
Yeah, it's
Oh my God.
I'll have to, I'll take a picture and put it in.
Oh, isn't that pretty?
But
Is it like a gemstone?
yeah. One looks like it's ruby red, like a garnet, and the other one looks black.
Oh, I haven't seen these yet.
So
That's so pretty. Oh yeah, that shows up really well.
I'll add a little photo. I'll add a
Yeah.
little video in there so you can see it up close.
Oh, I'm so happy you liked it. I wasn't sure if I should get you yarn because, but can you ever have enough yarn? I mean, really?
I know. It's Stephanie was talking about somebody telling her that they were Sable, stash acquisition beyond life expectancy. And
Yes.
I'm thinking, well, who isn't, right?
Well, what did Stephanie say?
She said that they were asking if they could use yarn from stash to do the project, and she said, "Of course you can. You just have to be aware of this and that." And I think this person was talking about using yarn for thrumming, and she was saying, well, you won't get the same effect, and
Yeah.
so sometimes you just need to buy a little bit,
Yeah.
use a little bit, right?
I also listened to one of Stephanie's chats about the amount of stash that people have. And I left that session thinking about how grateful I was to have my stash, because she made me feel good about having a stash. She made me think about it as an investment as opposed to a bad thing,
Right.
and that, not to feel ashamed about how much stash I had.
Well, yeah.
We're gonna chug through this year, and we're
Yeah.
gonna get rid of lots of yarn. So
And have a beautiful memory when we're done.
yes, yeah.
Oh, Barb, I also wanted to I also wanted to remind people that each time we purchase Yarnicorn, we're donating to a different charity, because
Absolutely.
unicorns have that kind of helping magic power. And so last month we raised money for the mustard seed here in
Great.
Edmonton. And do you recall how much we donated?
Yeah, we donated $2 for every skein, and this time I'd like to double that, Cynthia, if we could. Yeah, so I'd like to still donate $2 per every skein, but I'd like to create a little basket that we could offer out as a raffle, or like a prize, or something where folks could donate to it. And we'll pick one of those people to send it out to at the end of the month.
Wow.
Yeah, just as a way to make extra money for the charity. What do you think about that?
Yeah, well, I'm excited to hear more about it. Sounds like it's still an idea that's kind of
It
percolating.
it is. It is.
Yeah.
And the charity that we're going to do this month is basically babies.
Oh, that's fabulous. I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, I might just have to. I might have to knit myself a pair of socks and then make a pair of baby socks to go.
Yes.
Yeah.
Or we'll have to see what this color looks like from Kim. But early indications are it would make a wonderful striped hat, baby
Oh,
hat, or
nice.
a boy or a girl.
Oh, perfect.
So that's the idea.
Okay. Well, thank you so much, Barb, for spending time with me via Zoom to put this podcast together. Really appreciate it, and let's hope everybody out there has a wonderful month. Stay tuned because we're going to come out with 2 videos this month in addition to our podcast. One will be a close-up look at our Yarnicorn for February, and then Barb told me a secret that she has something new in the back that we're going to show you with another video. Do you want to spill a little bit for our podcast viewers about that, Barb?
Sure. We I've been working with Jana from Handmaiden and dreaming about spring and summer, and so we have some brand new colors of Adam and Eve to share with you, and they're going to be beautiful spring summer colors. So stay tuned.
Oh, that's so fun.
Mhm.
Okay, so we'll release a video just about the new colors of Adam and Eve, and that'll
Yeah.
be excellent. Okay. All right. Well, then stay on if you want to watch some of our clips from
Mhm.
our Vogue Knitting Marketplace and our Knit City Marketplace, and the full interview with Fiona Ellis about her class. That'll all be on the end of the video. But if you want to log off now, we'll wish you all the
Don't
very,
log
very
off. Don't log off now. Just grab a refreshment. Cynthia's not here at the store, but I happen to find this.
salty.
I promise I won't get into this without you. This needs 2 of us, but I did find this, and look at this, you guys. This is perfect for a coffee or a tea.
Mhm.
There's a lot of trouble in this bottle, is what I'm saying.
Oh man. Thank you, Diane, for bringing us trouble. All right. Have a great month, everybody. We'll see you again on a couple of extra videos this month. Happy Valentine's Day and happy Family Day for those of you who live in Alberta or who are who have
Celebrating.
Family Day celebrations in your provinces, territories, or perhaps states. Okay. All
Yeah.
right. Take care. We'll see you
Bye,
again.
everybody.
Bye-bye. There we go. Thank you. And now back to that lovely introduction to Kate's pattern.
Okay, so yeah, just kind of color work, but super simple color work that's still really stunning. This pattern is just so pretty. It's got the corrugated rib down here, and then the triangles going up. We joke, we wish we were flying, but we're not. So there's not very much travel happening between, our borders, and we're sad. We're kind of sad about that. We missed that. So one day we'll be able to get back in the skies again. Until then, we're lucky to be makers, aren't we? Yeah. So this is done. This one in our yarn called Eden, and you guys, this yarn, if you haven't had a chance to use it, it's beautiful. Handmaiden has it under her label called Casbah. That's a fingering weight. She makes it for us, and we call it Adam and Eve, that same weight. But we also have a thicker one that I think is pretty much just in our shop, and it's called Eden. I'm going to show you a few colors of it here. And I'm going to try and explain the squish factor and how soft this is. This is Eden, and so here it is. It's 115 gram skein. I love that Fleece Artist and Handmaiden have bigger skeins. I just hate running out of yarn. And this is 81 merino, 9 cashmere, and 10 nylon. And Cynthia and I think that this is so beautiful and so soft. We have fun with this. We say it's immoral fiber. I don't know if you can. Anyways, that's our fun take on it. This is where the one that you want to wear right next to your skin.
I'm just going to pop in and say Adam and Eve and Eden are both designed with 91% superwash merino, 9% cashmere, 81% superwash merino, 9% cashmere, and 10% nylon. And
you guys, we really feel we've had a shop for so many years. We really feel that blend, that amount of cashmere is the perfect amount. It doesn't pill. The nylon content helps it really stay all together. And the merino is just so soft. So those combos we really, really like. Cynthia.
Carolyn's asking a great question, Barb, about that. And that is Eden a single ply or multiple plies?
It's multiple plies. I believe, Caroline, there's 4 plies in here. I'm just kind of untwisting it as we talk.
It is hard to see on the camera for sure, but yes, it's a plied yarn.
And then the colorways, back to that. And Cynthia, maybe it would even be better to show just a quick swatch of our website if you were able to, because I feel like this isn't doing it justice. This one's so pretty. It's one of our most popular, and it's called Bird of Paradise because it's transitions through these amazing bright teals, greens, and then golds, and then into almost like a magenta and a fiery orangey red, just like the flower. So pretty. Okay, so I just wanted to mention that every skein every time we reorder this yarn, it changes slightly. And that's such a neat thing about hand-painted yarns. So every batch that comes in, we're taking a new photograph because depending on weather, water, a multitude of reasons, they can look different. So we do our best to keep on top of this, but look at these colors, you guys. They're just, that one's one of my favorite, Maria. And this one too, Red Fox, is very popular. So if you get a chance, have a look through. They're gorgeous. Okay, so these ones are interchangeable with Epic too. So if you see patterning, like this Not Flying hat and mitt set, I forgot to show you the mitten. This one's knit, and this one is knit in Eden. And can you see this? This one too has more drape and softness, whereas this one you can see the wool. It's so nice and it stands up all on its own. All right, let's move along.
Thank you, Barb. What's up next?
Okay, next I'm going to show you just one more project from Ann Budd. This is one that's called Peaks and Ridges Cowl. And we've done this in both the Eden weight, the worsted weight, as well as Adam and Eve, which is the fingering weight. This is Temptation. And so this is our pattern for helping us break up the variegation a little bit. Sometimes, I'm going to show you this one because this is a gradient pack. But sometimes you can get a yarn and it can do funny things, especially if it's variegated. This pattern helps that yarn break up and change because Anne's designed it with a slip stitch that slips over 5 stitches and then is brought up a couple rows later. And that creates a really interesting, what she calls peak and ridges. Named after the mountains in Colorado, the Rockies, I'm sure, the peaks and ridges there. But here you can see as well how pretty it spaces out some of the variegations within hand-painted yarns.
That's really nice. And that red one that you just held up, Barb, that's done in Adam and Eve.
Right.
Which just goes to show this is a cowl that you can do in different weights of yarn. You just change up the needles, right?
Yes, and Cynthia, I changed up the number of stitches too in this one because this one was bigger. I think the original pattern calls for 70 stitches, and I think this one was 100. So, you just kind of do a little swatch and figure out how wide you want your cowl to be, and then just do the math. This one was yours. Do you remember you did this out of a gradient pack?
I do remember that. And what I like about this one, doing things with a gradient pack, is the fact that you can control your striping. And for me, control is my middle name. So I really like that. But there's really some, and we'll get into that too. There's really some incredible artistic differences between working with a variegated yarn and working with a semi-solid or a striping yarn. So when it comes to yarns, when I want stripes, I really love those gradient kits because it allows me to make the striping, uniform. And anyway, I could go on for a lot about control, but I won't. We should talk about variegated yarns, but you go ahead, Barb.
While we're here, Cynthia, there's a piece that's right behind you that I was wondering if you might chat about. This is Tesserae.
Yeah.
And again, it's knit out of our Eden yarn. So we're still on the same yarn. And we've also knit it out of its baby brother, sister, Adam and Eve. So this one was designed by Holly Yo, and she is a designer from Vancouver, British Columbia. And she has used mostly mosaic stitch here to create a piece that is uber generous. We had 3 people wrapped up in this shawl when we did the photo shoot on it. And Cynthia's styling it now. It's so much fun because it's one of those pieces that you can wear wrapped around half a dozen times, or you could wrap it around just once and let an end come down and it goes almost to your knee. We've also taken it and tied knots in the end, just a loose knot, because it's really kind of a neat look and it's so much fun to style. When you knit it with a fingering weight yarn like Adam and Eve, it's about half the width and significantly shorter. So if you want a normal size shawl, just use a finer yarn. We're going to start off with some yarn, and we're going to talk first about the yarn that we bring in from Peru. This is called Epic yarn. It's what we call our store staple. It's a really nice Peruvian 100% wool, Highland wool. And it's one of those yarns that you can use for everything. Sweaters, it makes really great sweaters. The color work is beautiful in it. We have a couple behind us. This one here is called Roslyn, the red one. And it's a design that Fiona Ellis created for us. So much fun. Is Fiona joining us today, Cynthia? No.
So, Barb, I didn't invite her. I'm so sorry.
Okay. All right. Well, Fiona has this wonderful color work pattern. I'm going to show it to you in this cowl too, because this pattern is done on the sweater And Fiona's all about asymmetric. So when you see her, she's so fashion forward. It's so cool. She has designed this sweater with a patch of color work on one shoulder. There's more down on one hem of the sweater. And then she has another version where one sleeve is completely color work and the other's plain. So this is kind of like a plug and play sort of pattern where you can pick where you want on your sweater to do some emphasis. If you want, all the attention up here around your face, you can do that. If you want it down lower, or it's really fun. So this pattern is Rosalind. I think Cynthia might put links in, or probably already has. We also have this beautiful cowl. This one too, you guys, is knit double. So it's really fun in that you're just making a big piece of color work. They're turning round, and then you're making the inside, and you can see my little join right here where we changed colors. But wow, is this one ever warm and cozy? Very cushy with a double layer.
So Barb, I just wanted to say I put in a link to the Epic Yarn. So if you have your chat open and you want to click on any of the links as they come up, it'll take you to the website so you can see those. Or later on, you can download the chat if you want links. I also put in a link to the Rosalind hat and mitten kit because we've packaged those up in a kit. But I will now go in and put in links just to the individual patterns if you're interested in those.
Right. So here's Rosalind hat. Fiona designed this too with cute, with these great little ear flaps, which last week came in really handy here in northern Alberta. It was freezing, and having just this it's a double layer of 100% Peruvian wool over your ears was a godsend. She's got a really fun little knot detailing along the top. And so for those of you who love color work, consider this one. This is a great one with matching mitts. So this is fun. This just takes 1, 2, 3, 4 colors of Epic. And I'll show Epic to you here. This is what the ball band looks like. We have a free pattern too for a hand warmer on our website with this. But this one, we say about it, hardy yarn that stands second to none, magnificently rugged. The yarn's pure poetry for knitting and crocheting. And so we hope that you make some long-lasting with this yarn. And it's also perfect for felting. This one is one of the ones that will shrink. This is all natural, and it's a great little yarn. There are 100 grams in here, 200 meters, and this is just a secret for you. I have the mill make these 10% larger. So these actually weigh at the mill in South America 110 grams, and there's 220 meters, something like that. We made them extra big. I just hate running out of yarn. And so depending on where we are, when we bring them here, it's so dry here in Alberta that they often lose some of that weight, but the meterage is the same. So nice big balls. And I think about 18 colors. We now have 4 blues in the line, 2 greens. We're making more and more each year as we go along. And I think Cynthia might be able to show you our color palette on the website if she has a chance.
Absolutely. So if you don't mind, Barbara, I'll just take over the computer screen here for a second.
Great.
And we'll go and just take a quick peek at the website because we talk about orders and we talk about discount codes, but where do you go to get that, right?
For everyone, exchange rates too.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, so I'm just, Barb, can you tell me, are you seeing our website on your screen?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay. So this is our main website. It's rivercityyarns.com. And we have a menu up here where you can find yarn, needles and hooks, books and patterns, accessories, and classes and events. So there's lots of good stuff in here. Also, up in the top right-hand corner, if you want to change currencies, this is kind of a handy little tool to have. So if you click on the currency, you can switch to US dollars. And sometimes that just helps to know, it helps to be able to see things in whatever currency you're used to working in. I'll leave that up there for now, just for a second. I just want to show you that under yarn, you can search for yarn by weight, yarn by brand, or more yarn. We have a lot of people who call up and say, I'm looking for sock yarn. So we have a whole section of just sock yarns. But if you're looking for anything that Barb and I are talking about today, that's the RCY Originals. These are our own house brand yarns. You can't find them anywhere else. If I click on that, you'll see that we have quite a few of them. And Barb's just been talking about Epic. So I'll quickly click on here and show you the colors that we have available. All right, and you feel free to jump in at any time here, Barb, as I'm clicking through those colors.
So a lot of these are are solid shades, like the royal red. Some of them, though, are dyed on a base that's a sort of a melange mix from the mill. And so it's got cream and grays and whites in it, and you get a different effect. And our blues are like that, as well as the green. So yeah, and the grays, they've got different tonalities, heathers in them, sort of. Right. Now we also have a line of natural too, and we are partnering with our dye friends, our artists, to dye some epic for us. So we're going to be having some hand painted colors coming.
Oh, Barb, share that secret. Who's the dyer?
I'm working with two, Cynthia, and I'm not going to say who they are right now, but they're both Alberta based, and we are going to have some fun this summer.
Oh, Shirley says she would love some pink epic, Barb. I just thought you should know that.
What's that?
Shirley says she would love to see some pink epic. So those of you who want to throw some color suggestions into the chat, now is a good time to do that.
Oh, that's exciting, Shirley. I would too. We also need an orange desperately, but that might have to wait till hockey season comes back around. I just wanted to show this to you while I have it here. You guys, there we go. Here's Fiona's sweater. Isn't this cool?
I think what's particularly cool about this sweater is that Fiona's designed it as a bit of your color your own adventure pattern. So the way that the one that Barb just held up isn't it according to the pattern, but she suggests to you in the pattern that if you would like to have a more symmetrical distribution of the patterning, you can do that as well. So if you wanted to have both sleeves in complete Fair Isle, you can, or you can do what she did and have one sleeve in Fair Isle and one sleeve done with just a Fair Isle detail. So it's kind of fun that way.
Okay, I'm going to move us right along because we've got a few more projects. We have a couple hats we want to show you. This first one's called Zurich hat. And this is kind of we've seen a lot of these on Ravelry with a real sharp peak on them. They're great when you want to wear them as a slouch and put a pom-pom or some weight on the end. But this one's designed by Eric Lutz from Toronto, and he has used our epic yarn with striping to give you an effect. It's just a rib hat that gets smaller as you get up to the top. It comes in 4 different sizes, and you can also make the hat depth different sizes. So this one actually ends up looking more like a beanie in the back when you've got it on and you put it down tight. Otherwise, the other one has more of a cone shape to it. Kids also look adorable in these little hats, and so we have got them in all of the sizes here.
Hello, Fiona. It's so good to see you. Thank you for meeting with me today. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some new classes that we've collaborated on called Knitting as Mindfulness. We've got 3 classes set up with you. They're going to take place on February 12th, March 12th, and April 2nd. But maybe if you don't mind, Fiona, tell me a little bit about what was sort of the thinking behind these classes?
Great. Well, it's good to talk to you, and I'm so excited about these. It's something that I have been pondering quite a bit, and I've developed especially for you guys as in a virtual format. Yoga has always been important to people, but during the pandemic, it has become even more important. Being present and mindful has been really super important for us. It was a hard lesson to learn, but we had to let go of anything that was in the past. That was no longer available to us. We had no idea where things were going, so the future was beyond our reach, which it always is. So we could just be present in the day, like this day and next day, and so on, right? And so the same thing is true of our knitting. So if we take our yoga practice and bring it back as though we're coming home to our bodies, and you're looking at the sensations that happen in a yoga class. Couldn't the same thing be true of coming home to our knitting, so that we could look at not worrying about what our next project's going to be, and we're going to be casting on for 3 more this week, not worrying about all the ones that are hiding in that closet that we haven't finished, but just looking at the project that we're working on today, and maybe even taking it down to the row that we're on, and also maybe even the stitch that we're looking at. So by doing that, we're bringing our awareness to what's actually happening, not only with just the stitches, but ourselves as well. What's happening in our bodies? How are we feeling emotionally towards the project or the technique or whatever that is? I took what I've learned from being a yoga teacher and then created the kind of an arc of the classes so that it mimics the same arc that happens in a yoga class, but brought it to knitting practice. So they're only knitting exercises, they're not physical exercises. And each class will be distinct in itself, so they're not cumulative. You don't have to do all 3. If you haven't done 1 and 2 and you find about come to number 3 or whatever that is. But I'm hoping that people will come to all 3, and so they can see the whole arc of it. And I think that one of the reasons that as an instructor I try to do is to bring their attention to their work so that they're able to read their knitting, so that when something might go awry, which I know never happens, we know how to fix that. We know what went wrong so that we don't recreate that same mistake. And also for that time when you put your work down, something happens, the phone rings, the door needs answering or whatever that might be. When we pick our work back up again, where are we in our pattern? Do we, so that we can look at that and say, oh yes, that's a purl stitch, that's a knit stitch, this is a cable back, or whatever that might be. So being able to read your knitting is extremely valuable to all knitters. And I'm hoping that's one of the things that the benefits they'll get from these sessions.
What would you say might be the prerequisites for taking this class? What level of knitter do you need to be to get the most out of it?
I think what I've tried to do is make it available to all levels, just the same way that if we're showing up to a yoga class, we could be very athletic, or we've been very sedentary and we don't move around too much. So there are ways of getting to these exercises, knitting and or physical, that are available to everyone. So if you can know how to knit and purl, this will be good. So even if you're a relatively novice knitter, maybe this will be something that you'll learn things that we all wish we'd learned way back when, those of us who've been knitting a long time, but also experienced knitters. I find, and I do this myself a lot, that you just sort of look at things and you know what is expected, or you think you do, and then you find out maybe it wasn't what was expected. So we run before we can walk. So this is taking it back to going one stitch at a time, one row at a time, and so on. So all levels, it'll be good for all levels.
If you're not able to make one of the sessions, you should still sign up for it. You should still register, because we will be recording the sessions, right?
Yeah.
And we do make the recordings available for 7 days to paid participants after the live session. So if if it happens that you're just not able to come for whatever reason, you can still attend by watching the recording. Fiona, maybe you could tell me too. We talked a little bit about meditation and mindfulness earlier. What do you think is the difference? Why are we calling it knitting for mindfulness as opposed to meditation?
Well, we went back and forth a lot on that, and knitting can be a meditation. But what I'm trying to do is, rather than doing it purely as a meditation where we would all just be following a prescribed, okay, let's focus on this, let's focus on that. We're going to be examining things, so it's a little bit more workshoppy. So it's less of an actual the class will be less of a meditation, but hopefully you'll be able to take some of the techniques that I showcase and use them as your own meditation. So it's bringing the mindfulness and that being present in the present moment to the class.
Can you tell us a little bit about the idea of just one more time, perhaps, the idea of the theme of past and then present and then future?
Sure. I've called each session past, present, and future. I'm big on words. I like not labels exactly, but something that kind of gives you a focus of. So past will be looking at what was it like when we first learned to knit, and what are the basics, the knit and purl. Present will be, as in a yoga class, we will do twists and openings, so cables and open work, lace work, and then something that challenges us so that we're pushing our practice forward. So that would be the future element. So we'll look at color work in that session, and I will make it so that each level will be accommodated. So if you're really experienced, then I'm going to encourage people to really push themselves and learn something and do something that's outside of their comfort zone, the same way that in a physical practice we might try something that's challenging to us physically. But I'm also going to invite people who are newer to this to still play with color and see what techniques we can use to introduce color work into their projects.
That sounds really inviting and a lot of fun. So I think that just opens it up. I think definitely everybody should come to all three sessions and spend an hour with you, Fiona, guiding us through this kind of new way of looking at our knitting and exploring what we already know, what we don't know, and how we feel about it. Is that
Yeah.
fair?
Exactly. And also, one of the other things that we had discussed was to bring yarn and needles that bring you pleasure. So bring your favorite yarn and favorite needles. And sometimes we show up for class and we're like, well, this is just a class. I'm just going to bring whatever I have there. But then we can struggle with the technique because of the products that we're using rather than the actual technique. So this is about what it feels like. And that's also something that's totally valid, right? That I'm not enjoying working with this yarn. Why not? And do I want to change that? And by bringing mindfulness to that, then we are able to change things if we so choose. It's just observing it and knowing whether we want to do something about that or not. I promised my nephew that it's going to be in this yarn, so I'm just going to suck it up, So whatever that is, but so bring nice product to the class.
We need to go through our stash and find something that brings joy, as Marie Kondo might say.
Exactly. Hopefully, it's going to encourage people to swatch with different yarns. What happens when we use different yarns, and maybe if you come to all three sessions, to bring a different yarn each time and see what happens.
Right.
And I know we had chatted about, like we all have our favorite yoga pants. So when we come to our favorite class, are we fighting with the one that's the waistband's too tight, or that they don't stay where they're put, or whatever it is? So it's the same thing. If you wear your favorite yoga pants for physical practice, then bring your favorite yarn and needles to your knitting practice.
All right, Fiona, thank you again for spending a little bit of time to chat with me about these upcoming classes. I'm really looking forward to taking them with you, and I'm going to encourage all my friends to come and join us because it's always delightful to spend time with you. But I really think that this is an important time to spend a little bit of time thinking about um, how this craft that we all love can help us to relax and enjoy life and get more meaning out of spending time with our knitting. Yeah, it's not all about watching Netflix and audiobooks while working charts. We can spend time in kind of in a quiet space with it too.
And I agree with you. I feel that it's important. It's somewhat beyond where I'm at right now to fully articulate why I think it's that important. But I'm so happy that you've given me this opportunity to be able to explore it as an instructor and as a knitter. And maybe I will come out of the sessions knowing a little more because of the input of the students and the participants.
Fabulous. All right. Well, I'm going to again remind everybody that these sessions are taking place on 3 Saturdays, February 12th, March 12th, and April 2nd. They will be happening, they're 1 hour sessions starting at 1 p.m. Mountain Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, and in other time zones between and around those. We'd love to have you join us. And again, the sessions will be recorded. So if you're unable to make one or you have a poor internet connection that day, don't stress about it. You'll still be able to spend an hour with Fiona in taking a closer look at your knitting and sort of reviewing those themes of past, present, and future. Take care, Fiona. Thank you so, so much.
Thank you.